Hey everybody, it's the Last Robo Kai here. I'm joined by Cool Guy, and welcome to Nioh. And we're heading off on our next main mission, the Memories of Death Lillies.
I totally misread Futamata as Futurama there for a moment, and I thought this episode was going to get real frickin' interesting real quick.
Excellent news, everybody. There are giant Death Lillies growing out of season.
How is that good news? We've been contracted to harvest them for a shady company that only pays in cash.
Yeah, so we're off to a region.
Oh God.
I'm wearing the unusual armor set as a glamour, so to speak. I'm not actually wearing heavy armor. The set said it looks quite good on William. I don't know. I don't feel that way, but we're going to roll with it for a little bit anyway.
Makes him look like a mega chunker.
He does.
All the enemies are just going to be, oh Lord, he coming.
It's just going to chunk his way through. So, yeah, this is a very straightforward, very simple level. Doesn't mean it can't pop your skull in, but
he says while wielding the practice Odachi.
Yeah, that was the other clever I decided to use. I was just like, oh, whatever. I just sort of slapped a whole bunch of random things together because it looked like I was wearing a clown suit at the time.
I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm a little bit disappointed it's not a literal clown suit.
Now look, it's summer. The birds are singing. I'm dead. Yeah, no, that was like you've got to understand. I'm like, let's sit down and play some Nioh, and I'm like, all this happy music's playing, and that happens, and it just sort of like just deflates. I'm just like, okay, I have to actually turn my brain on and play the game now instead of just like prancing through the fields. Because, like I said, this isn't a particularly difficult level, and the boss is definitely not a difficult boss, but it's also still. It's still Nioh, and the enemies who spawn from the mists will still absolutely fucking clock your skull in, so maybe take them a little bit seriously, me.
I mean, yeah, I saw that grab come out, and that was more or less the end of that.
Not taking him seriously enough.
Yeah, there he is. Okay.
So this start of this area is divided more or less into two sections, both of them following down either side of a river. And for whatever reason, on the left side, there are boulder traps all the way. Whereas... and there was a bunch of stuff down the bottom there, and I killed them, and this guy still has absolutely no idea that what even happened.
The freaking Yoki has absolutely no clue. That dude is a million miles away.
He's just like, oh my god, the boulder rolled itself, my job's been taken by robots. Automation is already taken my Yoki job. Here. This is my 1 gig and I fucked up. Of course, if you rest at a shrine, that'll come back. You can just keep doing it over and over again.
The total lack of comprehension in that monster's face. Jesus.
Yeah, there's no real programming for reacting to that, so whenever you sort of and you can bat the boulders with arrows and other range stuff.
Oh, good like, meaty yamete.
Yep, good old cries out.
Yeah.
This region is an interesting region, and it ties into why we're here and why there are lilies sprouting up in all throughout the region. And this particular region is sort of it's part of the Tokugawa territory, and it's sat in a contested area between like Tokugawa and Takeda, and so it did change hands more than once. And this is also like a region. If this is the one I'm thinking of, they mentioned the river in the sort of the blurb at the beginning. I believe this would be the river where Hanzo the Oni defended against a large Takeda force with only 40 eager ninja, and managed to hold them at the river and stop them from crossing.
Yeah, that sounds about like Hanzo the Oni right there.
Yeah,
like that didn't even surprise me.
Yeah, he's got lots of history in this area, Hanzo the Oni. This is sort of a region where Tokugawa, his wife and his first wife, I should say, and his eldest son were for a time, and it's also where they met their tragic ends. Because and we'll be seeing a lot of NPCs talking about it as time goes on, but we might as well get into it now because it is the main theme of this mission. Essentially, what happened was Tokugawa and Oda, you know, they went into an alliance, but because the Tokugawa couldn't really do much against their task, which was to try and take out the Takeda. Because the Takeda were led at the time by Takeda Shingen, who was
one of the hardest core badasses of the period.
Yes, a man who had been honing his battle power level, fighting the other guy that everybody called the God of War. So
yeah,
it sort of put so many good things. It sort of put the Tokugawa in a less powerful position in the alliance, and even the game sort of says it became a bit more like put the Tokugawa in a bit more of like an underling status, which is really unfortunate for them. So the Takeda were a massive thorn in the side, but part of the union in this particular case, Oda Nobunaga's daughter, I believe, married Ieyasu's first son. And she couldn't give him any children, which seems to be like a very common theme with a lot of things.
That's becoming kind of a trend with a lot of the historical figures we're talking about.
Yeah, and as a result, they started looking for a courtesan elsewhere. You know, someone who could bear children, and for whatever reason. There was a belief, whether true or not, that they were trying to find a courtesan from amongst the Takeda. And this was being organized primarily by Tokugawa's wife. And she was, so she was doing that, and when the daughter of Oda Nobunaga found out about that, she basically told Oda Nobunaga, phrasing it more or less like, I think they're trying to turn against you, or they are trying to turn against you. And as a result,
kind of a bad look.
Oda Nobunaga did that thing he does, where he says, look, fucking kill yourself. And as a result, Tokugawa's first son, for his involvement in it, which I don't even know how prevalent it was, but, you know, he was forced to commit suicide, and I think the mother either killed herself afterwards or was executed. So that's kind of like how Ieyasu's first marriage kind of went. And he made sure that shit happened, because like they weren't exactly in a position where they could
it was either lose your son or lose everything. It's pretty much the definition of a Sophie's choice. I don't really envy anybody that situation.
Yeah, like Oda Nobunaga, I think, had already at this point proved that he wasn't above trashing the absolute shit out of family to get through. He did kill one of his own brothers for the rulership of the clan, and also basically demolished the entire clan of his brother-in-law, Asai Nagamasa, because he decided, after initially being on side with him, decided to turn against him as part of an anti-Nobunaga alliance, and even though the fact that he was married to Oda Nobunaga's sister did not save him.
Right. As I mentioned before, Oda Nobunaga does not give a crap about you. He doesn't give a crap about your holdings. He doesn't give a crap about anything that you think matters in your petty realization of how society be. He doesn't care. He cares about you doing the things that you said you were going to do, and nothing but that.
And Oda Nobunaga, Oda Nobunaga demanded it, so the son was going to go ahead and do it, and this is where Hanzo the Oni comes back into the story again, because Tokugawa Ieyasu asked him to be the second, the guy who basically makes sure to cut off the head if it looks like the guy's not actually going to be able to pull off the ritual disembowelment thing that they were going to have him do, either due to pain or simply just like struggling to give him that merciful death. And previously, both Tokugawa's wife and his son had been held hostages by, and I forget their name again, but basically the clan that our buddy Oda Nobunaga kicked the absolute shit of to start the thing. Like, they were from that family initially as well, but then they, then they were held hostage, and it was actually Hanzo the Oni that, part of a fight against them, rescued them. And, which is, you know, pretty impressive, and also another reason why the man's status is so legendary, and why he was so trusted, and why his name carried so much weight. Anyway, I'm
sorry,
yeah,
I'm just appreciating that shot on the wheel monk.
Yeah. I was just trying to aggro it, and then I knocked it out. I was like, okay, whatever.
I really appreciated that shot.
This is something to watch for, because I'm actually making this big mistake in that, when he goes to do his fire attack, I start to wheel around him. Don't ever do that. Try to remember not to do that. Wait till he actually starts breathing and dash through and around, because that way it's a guaranteed. Otherwise, he will just stop what he's doing and roll into you. It was actually a bit of clever design that they did that. They figured out how to, like, stop, like, you know, make sure you weren't going to get a guaranteed bait. But it's a mistake I always make, because I always get a little impatient.
Not that it ever affects you.
Hanzo the Oni could not bring himself to actually, like, do it. He actually refused. He couldn't do it. He couldn't actually kill. He couldn't be, like, responsible for that. And Tokugawa Ieyasu said, no, that's okay. And he said that, I suppose in this particular case, even an Oni can cry.
Aww.
Oh, sorry, or shed tears, I should say, because I probably... Yeah, so it's just, you know, like, it's a sad sort of thing, but it's one of those things where people talk about Tokugawa Ieyasu being, like, the ultimate survivor. He managed to actually sort of get through something like that. He managed to get through being basically the lower in an alliance as a result of just, you know, the Takeda absolutely dumpstering him. And see, this is what they're talking about here.
Yep.
So you've probably already figured out what the boss of this is going to be.
Yeah, sort of the theme. I believe that by the time her first son ended up committing suicide, she herself was also infertile. And for what it's worth, there is a bit of a historical context here that you can talk about, in that, you know, where a lot of very traditional sort of laws come from a practical aspect, is that human fertility up until probably about the Industrial Revolution really kind of sucked, in the sense that you know, men are the more fertile of the two genders, but even then, by the time they were hitting what we now refer to as middle age, about 40, erectile dysfunction was more. It was the norm, not the exception. Whereas now, you know, we have access to much better and cleaner and more plentiful food and so forth. So men tend to stay fertile well into their 50s or even their 60s. Women had primary fertility for only a couple of years, like from about 16 to 18 to the mid 20s, and that was about it. You know, women obviously could still get pregnant later, but just due to diets and lifestyles and so on and so forth, you have to understand that a woman that was 30 was not expected to have any more children, like, period. So, like that's one of the bits of context that's important when we're talking about how all of these women ended up not being able to bear their husbands any children. Is it unusual for this to be such a problem? Yes, sure. But is it improbable? Actually not. You know, like this is it's a relatively common thing to just be like, okay, well, you know, you're in your 30s now. You're kind of past your childbearing years. It's like, okay, Whereas like every millennial watching this is just like that's weird. Like they like a lot of us can't even imagine, you know, having kids before 25 now. It's just like that's too early. Well, in the context of the time period of Nioh, that's right at the end. That's almost too late.
Plus, the actual act of childbirth itself could result in medical complications, like because it's not nearly, like we said, not nearly as good back then as it was then. So just even the act of having a child could cause, you know, irreparable damage, trauma, whatever. Death during childbirth of parent, child, both, whatever. Absolutely not even like a rarity. It was a thing.
It's difficult. It's difficult to overstate exactly how big the cesarean section is for both the health of the child and of the mother. I mean, yes, of course, obviously, you don't want to aggressively do that, and it's better to have a natural childbirth. But in any kind of complication, back in 1600, it would have been a serious problem. Whereas, you know, in 2000, the doctors are just gonna like, okay, we're gonna have to C-section this child, and it's not actually that big of a deal. Like that was even me. Like I was 9 pounds 9 ounces when I was born, and my mother was 5'4". Yes, they had to cut me out of her, and that was best for both of us.
Now we're at the sort of the temple here, and it's a really lovely look. Like that's the sort of funny thing about Nioh. Is you have so many little drab areas, and then suddenly you walk in, there's this beautiful array of stuff.
Yeah, dude.
So to get to the boss fight, to the source of the lilies, we're going to have to try and find a key. Of course, to get to the key, we're going to have to do a little bit of exploring. The key opens more than simply just that door. It also opens this door right here. Temple treasure awaits.
I like the double ground pound you got out of that.
Ah, look, the minute I learned you could actually do that was like, I love this. I love being able to like just get free damage.
It's freaking insult to injury, and I love it.
Give me all that free damage, just rub it all over my face. Like, the game absolutely dumped a whole lot of extra gear on us too, you might have noticed, with like wearing like Warrior of the West gear, we've got a new Adachi, it's like...
Yeah, so, I mean, you switched gear and we didn't talk about that, since the Warrior of the West set. What is that Adachi? Because that Adachi is pretty stylish.
It's just like I think it's like either a blue or a yellow, just like I can never remember half of their names. It's definitely not a unique one.
I'm just looking at the hilt, and that hilt is stylish.
Oh yeah, they do some fantastic designs. Like the further we go into the game, and the more powerful the classes of the weapons, the more fancy they get. The DLC, the first DLC actually introduces ones that make them look like weapons built by yokai, so you can get some pretty lovely giant cleaver looking Odachis. And in Nioh 2, they take that even further by having actual like corrupted weapons, so they look like that, but also like they have a meter that builds up, and I think they power up the more things you kill, and they talk to you when you kill enough things, and you discover their yokai voice.
That's pretty creepy.
Yeah, you can have a female voice just saying, "Hey, give me more blood. I need to feed more, please." MOAR,
and I'm just like, please stop. You're creepy.
Yeah, the mist over there is where the key is. Oh no, it's not. No, it's not. The key's up here. But we're gonna go find the thing in the mist. I was just under the impression there was a raged enemy around here that would give me trouble, but I might be misremembering it from like doing a Twilight mission or a side mission or something.
Dumpstering a Yoki is never a bad thing to do. I'll
be killing him on the way through anyway, so it's not like it's wasted motion.
Just watching that happen is always just such a joy.
Who's our trouble this time? Tenju time.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, as always, Tenju. But this one, like, a Tenju that's been like powered up by the mists is no joke. I will eventually stop dodging, probably. Don't worry.
I mean, we're talking about a Tengu. It's fine. These things. Yes, there you go. There's the reason why I wasn't clowning on you for over dodging, as it were, because these cats are built for speed, but man, do they like an individual strike will really set you on your heels.
Yeah, and they can pursue pretty well too.
They really can.
As always, one of the best things to do is just to try and lock them into a loop, because they are a lot less threatening close range trying to do this sort of thing than they are at long range when they start flying and they start shooting wind blasts at you, and it's just like, ooh.
Dodging towards them like that is not. You make that look a lot easier than it actually is, and it's one of the best things you can do not just against Tengu, but also but against probably I would say the majority of enemies in Nioh, simply because, like many Souls-likes, and I've mentioned this before, it rewards aggression, it rewards being in there, it rewards being stuck in.
My general sort of stance on it is that there's certain frames on the attack in the positions of where it is. It's the Tenju's swing is gonna be more likely to hit you at the wider part of its swing than it is at the short part, because the short part travels through its cycle a lot quicker, so you can use your invincibility frames to get to the other side of that point. Whereas when I do get hit, you kind of see I'm sort of dodging outwards, and that's when the sweep is wider, and so therefore like a lot more opportunities for me to get clocked by it. That might sound really weird, but like,
I mean, it's.
I'm probably not wording it correctly, but
no, you're talking about geometric realities, right? You know, like you're talking about levers.
I don't know about words, but I'm definitely
you're talking
using words.
about levers, basically. Like this guy has a really big lever that he is flexing at the point of his wrist, and what does a lever do? It has more and more power and motion and movement the further out it gets. That is the entire point of a lever. So, I mean, you get closer to the fulcrum, then there's less power, there's less movement, there's less motion. Like, that's what you're talking about. I get
something like that. I'll be honest. Like, it makes sense to my brain, and it's essentially just like trying to maximize the time spent not in a hitbox.
And yeah, then it's very reasonable.
Because I can clear to the other side of his swing quicker from like being close in. Stop jumping away! Stop trying it! Stop trying it, you little bugger! I'm not gonna let you tongue me.
Yeah, stop there! Stop and just die, one-eyed one cutter. Yeah, sure, buddy. Still beautiful. I didn't even notice you pick up the key.
Yeah, that's okay. It was up in that little watchtower.
Okay.
Now we've got the path to the boss.
P.S. All of these temples are absolutely gorgeous in the daytime. Like, I'm just like we don't really get to see a nice temple like this in daylight, but having been to a lot of those temples, can confirm they are absolutely gorgeous.
That skeleton's all the way up here. It's kind of weird. I'm not sure what the meaning is behind it. But we still have also lots of lilies.
Those lilies would be really, really attractive if they weren't, indicative of some motherfucker dying.
Yes, our last foe before the top. Big, angry skeleton.
Yeah,
really
sure.
not that impressive, to be honest. But
I was gonna say, like it is basically a law of this Let's Play. Right after we clown on an enemy, it gets a really scary hit off on you.
I will say, I said at the beginning, don't underestimate big skellies. Like, I can underestimate him now because I know I do beat him, but but at the same time, it's like they will kill you, and that's how it goes. All right. Just another one of my little toilet breaks before we get started.
It's fine. You're just checking your assets. You're being all tactical. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. That was a face!
The Ogress is, honestly, the easiest boss. I know I just got hit, but the Ogress is honestly the easiest boss in the game. She's really only ever does damage directly in front of herself. Swings, it's really easy to lead onto the left side. You know, and if you're good with your dashes, you're good with your dodges, you're not going to have too much to worry about. So look, as long as you stay on the left side, you can pretty much never get hit. The biggest trouble you get is your camera freaking out if you're near the edges from that.
That reminds me very much of the threat profile presented by Chaos Witch Quelaag in Dark Souls 1, wherein if you stay under her sword arm, which I believe she's right-handed, she has such terrible leverage there that you can literally punch her to death. But God help you if you don't know that. Like God help you if you haven't analyzed her enough to understand that weakness in her combat mode, because otherwise she will flay you alive.
She even has a flame protect, just like we like.
I mean, evidence for my theory continues to accumulate at an alarming rate. You broke her
so
key.
This fight's going to be over very quickly soon. So
yeah.
I just wanted to point out the mask she's wearing is actually used to be used a lot in Japanese theater to represent a middle-aged woman. And the expression on the face is changed as largely depending on the angle it's viewed at. So, you know, tilted forwards, tilted back, looking forwards changes between sad, happy, or angry. And this is the last thing that she can do that, like, could actually probably fuck you up, but I've never actually had it happen. It's just the Lillies flood the region with yokai pools and just drain your stamina.
I mean, if she's still alive at that point.
It's worth noting that mask is actually also the mask that Goro Majima from the Yakuza series has tattooed on his back. Similar symbolism.
どうしてかしら。侍は皆死にたがる。忠義のため、お家のためなんて。あなたは恋人を追ってこの国に来たって聞いたわ。侍どもとは違うよね。あいつは徳川の家を守るため愛した妻を殺し保身のため息子をも切り捨てる。血も涙もない男。あいつは兄さんも殺した。私も家康の娘。大名に嫁がされそうになったけど、あいつの駒に使われるのはまっぴらごめん。家を捨て、私は忍びになった。あいつに会うんでしょ。私は先に江戸に向かうわ。あのタヌキには会いたくないの。
Yeah, so there's the big plot twist.
Word choice chat, real quick. By the way, Okatsu is continuing to be really standoffish with William, even as she's confiding all of this in him. By the way, Her speech pattern is incredibly direct, incredibly abrupt, and she still refuses to use his name or any kind of honorific. Instead, she uses anata, which is you, and it's very accusatory. And generally, Japanese people don't use that with each other.
Well, it's time for us to actually just go and meet Tokugawa. I fast forwarded through doing other missions. Let's go meet him.
Oh, buddy.
There's no way a normal man could take this. It seems he's the real thing.
Nanika 面白いものでも見えるかの。お主のこと、海賊と落とす者もおれば、まれびとと崇める者もおる。ここは一つ、お主の誠を聞かせてくれるか。
I told Ieyasu that I came to Japan in pursuit of Kelly, the man who stole Saoirse from me. And told him about Amrita as well.
ほう、守護霊を取り戻すか。ケリとやらがわしを狙っとるとなれば、現れるやもしれんの。半蔵ともども、護衛も好きにいたせ。
ほっ。
じゃが、戦のある限り、霊石を狙う輩、お主の守護霊を欲しがる輩はいくらも現れよ。のう、アンジーよ。戦のないよう作れると思うか。
A world without war.
わしは作るぞ。その大義のため力を尽くしておる。お主は鬼を切るその力、何のために使う。
I'd never thought about that.
まあよい。江戸へ向かうぞ。どこせ。
That's it! Kill each other, you samurai fools!
Edo is currently where all the ham in Japan is. Thanks, Edward. This is marks a major turning point in William's character, and we'll explore a little bit more of that when we're talking about the side quests. But until then, I've been Last Robokai,
and I have been incredibly impressed by Ieyasu's facial animations.
and we'll see you all next time.